Good evening. In the headlines this evening, the new road traffic regulations are receiving criticism on child restraint devices. Horrifying murder is the statement from the Prime Minister regarding the murder of 9-year-old Nikita Noel in Hanover. And now the news in detail. The Press Association of Jamaica, PAJ, hosted a public forum entitled Children, Sex and the Media, Regulation and Responsibility in the Digital Age yesterday at 4 p.m. at the Montego Bay Community College Lecture Theatre. Executive Director of the Jamaica Broadcasting Commission, Cordell Green, gave some tools and guidelines to assist parents in managing children's media usage.
Certainly, digital media and information literacy. That is key because the traditional paternalistic top-down approach isn't complete. It's not that it's irrelevant, but it's not complete, it's not fully effective for the age we're living in, for all the reasons we have discussed. So we have to now shift the first line of defense to the actual citizen. The problem, I think, Janet, is that all of us have been thrust into this new environment and there really is no preparation. So a lot of groundwork must be done. So to give you an illustration of how we are approaching this as a regulator, the Commission has collaborated with GetSafe UK, established GetSafe Online JA, and that is just to provide a tool to parents and children about how to maneuver in the space carefully. But it's much deeper than that. We have to go to the system of education. Digital literacy must be embedded in the curricula. Otherwise, we're really not preparing our citizens for a digital economy and society.
Mr. Green emphasized that digital media information not only covers choice content, but how to respond to content.
Certainly, digital media and information literacy. That is key because the traditional paternalistic top-down approach isn't complete. It's not that it's irrelevant, but it's not complete, it's not fully effective for the age we're living in, for all the reasons we have discussed. So we have to now shift the first line of defense to the actual citizen. The problem, I think, Janet, is that all of us have been thrust into this new environment and there really is no preparation. So a lot of groundwork must be done. So to give you an illustration of how we are approaching this as a regulator, the Commission has collaborated with GetSafe UK, established GetSafe Online JA, and that is just to provide a tool to parents and children about how to maneuver in the space carefully. But it's much deeper than that. We have to go to the system of education. Digital literacy must be embedded in the curricula. Otherwise, we're really not preparing our citizens for a digital economy and society.
When last have you walked into a community and seen children playing? Was the riveting question posed by clinical psychologist Georgia Rose.
When last have you stepped into a community and seen a group of children playing? No. You see them huddled around a device. When we allow our children to start kickboxes and play hula hoop and dandy shandy and go back to JCDC and go back to pantomime, then you find the device will become less desirable. I always challenge parents, take children into a space where there is fun, real childhood fun, and see how many of them will put down the device. Many of them will. Many of our children don't even know how to play. And we have robbed them of that, because there is very little time left for our children to be children. And I'm going to be a little facetious. All of us here on this platform did not do as many subjects as our children do now. And all of us here are better at problem solving, critically analyzing, all the other things that you need to do to be a functional and effective adult. Our children might have all the knowledge in the world, all the CXCs in the world, all the CAPE in the world, but they don't function very well as emotionally intelligent adults. And that is why the pornography is going to draw them, because it is the only excitement that they will be finding in their life.
In other news tonight, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Kamina Johnson-Smith, is encouraging more dynamic and innovative collaboration between private and public sector stakeholders. This in order to take advantage of emerging opportunities offered by the changing global trade environment. The minister was speaking at the Jamaica Trade Policy Advisory Group Jam Trade Stakeholders Meeting, which is a joint effort of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade to provide technical advice and input in support of trade policy development and implementation. Minister Johnson-Smith, who highlighted recent global economic shocks and unpredictable changes in the global trade environment, urged a positive approach. As we strive to address the new global challenges and seek to identify sustainable avenues and mechanisms through which to promote Jamaica's interests.
Jam trade can be the dynamo that drives and also supports this paradigm shift, and it is this energy that I want to infuse in this meeting today. The possibilities that can emerge from the dialogue of which Mrs. Thomas Edwards spoke earlier sit before us today, or stand before us rather today. Your participation today, I emphasize, is critical to ensuring that as a nation we can successfully adapt to the changing circumstances within the global environment, and that we can become better equipped to navigate the uncertainties faced by developing countries such as ours, including in relation to food security and our vulnerability to external shocks. The whole discussion of shortening global supply chains, etc., create great opportunities for us and our nearer neighbors, but we need to think differently in order to harness those opportunities. So we seek to not...
The minister also spoke of untapped opportunities pursuant to CARICOM agreements with Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic.
There are also untapped opportunities within the scope of the Regional Treaty of Chaguaramas, the RTC, and particularly Article 80, regarding the coordination of external trade policy, which would allow for the undertaking of bilateral free trade agreements, FTAs, and partial scope trade agreements with key third-party countries. I would encourage you to look at opportunities from your vantage point to see whether there are bases for the government pursuing partial scope agreements with additional countries, both within and outside the region. Additionally, there are yet untested regional instruments emanating from recent decisions at the Conference of Heads of Government, such as, for example, the Protocol on Enhanced Cooperation, which might allow for the pursuit, along with like-minded CARICOM countries, of a more expansive national and regional trade policy agenda. The signing of the protocol, however, will not be effective if there is not sufficient buy-in or sufficient interest from key partners, such as the private sector, who are the entities that will trade.
Still making the news tonight, the new road traffic regulations are receiving criticism, but according to the opposition's spokesman, Michael Phillips, MP, the government has no one to blame because he said it used its parliamentary majority to bulldoze and reject several of the opposition's amendments to the draft. Mr. Phillips stated that the opposition had submitted hundreds of changes, the majority of which were rejected in response to public concerns, particularly those related to Section 73 on child restraint devices. The opposition spokesman claimed in a statement that the applicability of the provision to public passenger vehicles, PPVs, is impractical and burdensome for taxi operators. The regulation, he claimed, was not new, but previous administrations never enforced the rule on public transport operators, whether by buses or taxis. According to Mr. Phillips, enforcement will also be expensive and might inexorably result in a raise in transportation fare. The opposition says it fully supports measures to improve road safety and better driving habits. However, the party says it does not support what they describe as the impractical implementation of legislation which leads to discontent, disobedience, and the criminalization of the ordinary citizen. Prime Minister Andrew Holness held an emergency press conference that will amend the regulations under the new Road Traffic Act, which requires motor vehicles to be outfitted with a car restraint system for the transportation of children under the age of 12.
For enforcement of a child restraint system in public passenger transportation in itself needs further review, and we have spent the last hour and a half in cabinet going through it, and it's a very deep issue. We have decided, in support of the position adopted by the police and already explained, that they will apply greater discretion in the enforcement of the rule. We have decided that we will make some amendments to the law, and we will do so as quickly as possible. It may come in the form of amendments to the regulations, which can be done very quickly by a ministerial direction, which may not necessarily need to go to Parliament, or if it does, as soon as possible in Parliament. But I think that there has to be even further discussion around safety in public transportation. And that will need a much wider debate and possibly amendment to the law itself, not just the regulation, but to the act itself, which may come in a month or two or so, depending on how fast we can move with consultations.
Still making Mello TV news tonight, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has expressed his outrage at the monstrous murder of 9-year-old Nikita Noel in a statement released today. Mr. Holness stated that Nikita's horrifying murder is a shock to our collective conscience and sense of community and can only be described as evil. Mr. Holness offered his deep condolences and support to Nikita's family as they try to make sense of her vicious murder. The Prime Minister further stated that our society must never become numb to the increasing barbarity of violent acts and must clearly define and defend the moral line by speaking out against and unequivocally condemning these violent acts and supporting measures that will bring the perpetrators to justice. The government is urgently amending the Offences Against the Person Act, OAPA, to provide stiffer penalties for those who terrorize and prey upon our people, particularly vulnerable and innocent children. A joint operation of the Jamaica Customs, Jamaica Constabulary Force, and international partners has confirmed a massive weapon find at the container terminal in St. James earlier today. 5 rifles, 54 handguns are among the weapons, and over 100 rounds of ammunition have also been seized.
During a joint operation between the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Jamaica Customs, and our international partners, a total of 59 firearms were recovered at Freeport, Montego Bay. The firearm consists of 5 rifles and 54 handguns. There were also 101 assorted rounds of ammunition found. This operation is considered to be an intelligence-led operation with the several stakeholders and partners involved. And we have strengthened the partnership between the JCF and other entities within Jamaica. And the results have been quite significant. We have seen, for example, the recent seizure of a significant amount of cocaine since the beginning of the year, or last year and this year. Prior to this seizure, there was a 22 firearms that were seized at this exact location as well. So the partnership is continuing, and we continue to strengthen our intelligence capability within the JCF. The investigation in relation to both finds continues, and we believe that at the end of the day, we will successfully prosecute those who are behind sending these illegal weapons. These weapons are weapons of destruction. They are not sent to shoot birds, they are sent to shoot human beings. And when you consider within the past 2 or 3 weeks, we have seized in excess of 85 firearms. We do not manufacture firearms in Jamaica. When we consider the destruction that these firearms can cause, we are really appealing to the public that whenever you get information regarding firearms, tell us. We will do the necessary in identifying and locating those who are responsible.
Continuing with the news tonight, investigators assigned to the Narcotics Police Division seized approximately 1,100 pounds of compressed marijuana during an operation on the east-west bound of the toll road Portmore St. Catherine on Tuesday, January 31. Reports are that at 8:30 p.m., law enforcement officers were in the area when they signaled the driver of a Honda Step wagon motor car to stop. The driver of the vehicle disobeyed the instructions of the police and sped off. The police team then pursued the man, and during the pursuit, the driver abandoned the vehicle and ran into nearby bushes. A search of the vehicle was conducted, and closer examination revealed that 1,100 pounds of compressed marijuana was inside the vehicle. The illicit drug has an estimated street value of $1.4 million. In other news tonight, LASCO, in association with the Ministry of Education and Youth, Jamaica Teaching Council 2022 Teacher and Principal of the Year Award ceremony was held under the theme Embracing Excellence in the Changing Environment earlier today at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in Kingston. Mr. Jody Brown, teacher of Morant Bay High School, was the recipient of the 2022 to 2023 Teacher of the Year Award.
The LASCO, Ministry of Education, Jamaica Teaching Council 2022 Teacher of the Year is from Morant Bay Primary, Mr. Jody Brown. Mr. Jody Brown, Teacher of the Year. Oh, Mr. Brown. Wow.
LASCO, in association with the Ministry of Education and Youth's Principal of the Year Award, went to Dwayne Mulgrave of Discovery Bay High School.
The Principal of the Year comes from high school. It is not a corporate area high school. As a matter of fact, no, I'm not going to give it a parish. I'm just going to tell you, Discovery Bay High, Dwayne Mulgrave. Mr. Mulgrave. Coming up to the legacy trophy. He will also be receiving his individual trophy. from me head to.
And that's our news package for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in to Mello TV Evening News at 8. I am Shelley Hill. Do stay safe, pleasant viewing, and thanks for watching.